Shalom, Yasha Allah. My name is Brother Masha, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on the seven pillars of wisdom. And I am sure that many people have not heard of the seven pillars of wisdom. And what are the seven pillars of wisdom and why? I found out about the seven pillars of wisdom about maybe a year or two ago through my elder, Saquan Parazah, Yasha Allah, and he introduced me to the seven pillars of wisdom. And how he learned the seven pillars of wisdom was through a brother that he knew, in his younger days. And the seven pillars of wisdom is knowledge, instruction, understanding, discretion, equity, justice, and judgment. Now I will explain them. Okay. I have this book that is dedicated to Chokmah alone. Just the basics of Chokmah. The fundamentals of Chokmah. Okay. And I'm no disclaimer, right? I'm not on here trying to be something that I'm not. I'm not on here trying to exalt my ego. I'm not on here trying to promote I'm not on here trying to promote something that is I'm not on here trying to promote something that is too high for anybody to understand. Right. That's a disclaimer. Another thing I will say is that Chokmah, once you dig into the depths of Chokmah, how to perform excellence in your life, that's when it could be hard for people to understand. But if I simply tell you what each stage of the seven pillars of wisdom is, that's not hard to understand. It's just like any other definition. Now, Chokmah itself and performing Chokmah, which is wisdom, is another stage of understanding. This is just what I'm telling you is just a basic form of understanding, just the definition, right? And then I will go into other aspects of Chokmah as time goes on, Lord willing, Yahweh willing. So when I started studying Chokmah, the reason why I started studying Chokmah is because it is the fundamental knowledge. It is the principle of all things created. Chokmah is in all creation that Yahweh created. So the trees, the wind that blows, the sun, the ocean at night, the ocean in the day, the sands of the sea, the creatures in the sea, and their performance in their performance in the earth, and what those sea creatures do for the earth, the butterflies, the bees, the flowers, the trees, the grass, the dirt, the mud, the soil of the earth, the depths of the soil of the earth, the stars. What else can we name? The different types of the different trees that exist, the oak tree, the willow tree, right? The olive tree, the different types of fruits, pomegranates, oranges, kiwi, all the strawberries. Wisdom is in everything. There's a benefit in everything that Yahweh created, and also everything that Yahweh created comes back again and again and again. Everything Yahweh created comes back. You know what I'm saying? Like King Solomon said, the thing which has been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done, it is that which shall be done, and there's no new thing under the sun. So when a tree, where there's a tree dying, there's a tree growing. Okay, where it's not raining, it's raining somewhere else. You know, where it's not snowing, it's snowing somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Where there's shrimp, crab, lobster in the ocean, there may not be shrimp, crab, and lobster in the ocean somewhere else, or in the sea somewhere else. But whatever, everything reproduces in the earth. Okay, Yahweh continuously brings forth life in the earth, and through that we could see Chokmah. You know what I'm saying? We could see wisdom flowing throughout the universe, throughout time, throughout nature. So, and that's what fascinates me about Chokmah. Another thing that fascinates me about Chokmah is how we treat our brothers and sisters in day-to-day life, how we treat our enemies, how we treat those of other nations. You know what I'm saying? How we treat our property and the property of others. You know what I'm saying? That's another fascinating thing about Chokmah. And there's two things that stick out that Hamashiach spoke about, which is, or even what the Torah spoke about, which is loving your neighbor and loving Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? And the Torah is a form of Chokmah, is a seed of Chokmah. That's the best way I could explain it. Because Chokmah came first. You know, Chokmah came before the Torah. But when you read Deuteronomy, it says that the Torah is our wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can get that real quick. It says that the Torah is our wisdom. It says this let me see. Deuteronomy, I think it's 6:25. Deuteronomy chapter 6:25. It says, no, not 6:25. I know it's chapter 6. Unless I'm mistaken. Unless it's chapter 4 verse 6. Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So there you have it. The Torah is our wisdom. And honestly, if the whole entire earth and the world was keeping the Torah, we'd be in a much better place. A way much better place in life. As people on the earth in general, we'd be in a way much better place if we kept Torah. For sure, without a shadow of a doubt. And we could challenge that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But what I want to say is that, you know, that the beauty of Chokmah is that Chokmah flows through all things by reason of her purity. In Wisdom of Solomon, it says Chokmah flows through all things by reason of her purity. So yeah, the 7 pillars of wisdom, right? Knowledge, instruction, understanding, discretion, equity, justice, and judgment. Let's break down what those are. Okay? Everything I'm telling you guys and that I'm reading to you guys is what I've studied from my elder. Okay? So, let's go to Shalakia. Right, let's go to knowledge. So, we're going to give an example, right? We're going to give an example, a good example that my elder gave me, or gave in a video that he was doing. Knowledge is let me see where I'm at. Let me see where I want to start at. Let me see. Knowledge. Okay? Knowledge. Knowledge is the full understanding of a situation, person, place, or thing through observation, experience, or acquired study. Okay? I'm going to read that again. Knowledge is the full understanding of a situation, person, place, or thing through observation, experience, or acquired study. Okay? So, knowledge, right? Say for instance, right? In the book of, I believe it's First or Second Kings. It might be Samuel. No, I think it's First or Second Kings, right? We all know this situation with King Solomon, right? When he had to judge between the two women. Right? The way he was able to make that judgment is because not only he didn't look at the face value of the situation. Okay, she's saying that she stole her baby. She's saying that she stole her baby. Okay, right? What we understand about that and what's profound about that situation is that King Solomon is dealing with a situation that is relatable to today's society, first of all, because things like this do happen, where somebody may claim something is theirs that's not theirs, right? Or someone that's theirs is not theirs. So the thing about King Solomon in that situation, what is the knowledge about that situation? How was King Solomon able to separate and to come to a conclusion about whose child the baby was? He had the knowledge of women and a woman's nature. Okay, a mother's nature, not just a woman, but a mother's nature. He had the knowledge of a mother's nature, right? And he understood, which is the second pillar of Chokmah, which is the second pillar of wisdom, understanding. He understood the love of a mother. Okay? He didn't look at the face value of the situation and make rash decisions. He looked at the situation and he had the knowledge of women in general and of the love of a mother. You know, this child is coming from your womb. This child is coming from you. And this is not for all situations. but the child is coming from this woman's womb. And this was a time when women desired to be mothers. Women desired to be mothers. Women desired to be wives. This was that time. Not so much now, but in that time, yes. And we see this in a situation with a sister that, in the scriptures, that prayed 30, if I'm not mistaken, 30 years for a child, to be able to give birth. 30 years to be able to have a child. But my point is that King Solomon had the knowledge, right? Okay, of a woman's emotions, of a mother's emotions, of the things that a mother would do for a child, right? So he was like, okay, since it wasn't even against them in general. It was the decision that he made. I could think that the decision that King Solomon made was to not afflict them, the women, but to get to the last pillar of wisdom, which is judgment. Judgment. Judgment is the last pillar of wisdom, right? The judgment is what's executed. So like in 1 minute. So, right? So King Solomon was like, okay, let's divide the child in half. Let's cut the baby in half. Because why? It wasn't to threaten. It was to see how one would react to it versus the other. Okay? Let's say, for instance, right? Let's say in one household, the father's abusive, the mother's not abusive, she's taking care of the child, nurturing the child, things of that nature. And across the apartment complex is another female, and she has children. She may feel bad for that mother, but she may not react how the mother does to her own child being taken. You see, sobbing, crying, mucus coming out the nose, asking for mercy. The mother sitting across like, man, that must be, like, oh my gosh, like I feel bad for her. But not so bad to the point to where, not like as if it's your own child. So it's like, the point I wanted to make there is that, like, this is your child. This is my child being taken by CPS, by CPH, or whatever they call it, right? Child Protective Services. And, like, you're the mother, and your child's being taken away from you. The neighbors across, they feel bad for you, but not so bad to the point to where they're reacting how you're reacting because it's not their child. You see what I'm saying? But they could understand why you feel that way. They just won't react that way. But in this situation, with the two prostitutes, one had a child, and one tried to claim the child that was not theirs. So King Solomon was like, okay, let's cut the baby in half. Was he really going to cut the baby in half? No, he was not going to cut the baby in half. But he had enough wisdom. He had enough knowledge, and he had enough knowledge about how a mother would react in a situation to be like, okay, she said, okay, go ahead, cut the baby in half. But she said, no, just let her have the baby. Even though it's my child, let her have the baby. So what is the conclusion that King Solomon comes to? He says, okay, give the baby to her, because now I understand that it's her baby. I understand that it's her baby. Because she didn't want the baby to be cut in half. She would rather the baby be given to a stranger. She would rather the child be given to a stranger and live than to be given, than to be cut in half. So the knowledge that King Solomon had was based upon understanding understanding the nature of a woman, understanding the nature of a mother. You know what I'm saying? Having the knowledge of having the knowledge of how deceptive someone can be to claim a child that's theirs, that's not theirs. You know, having the knowledge to understand. He may have even thought about the psychological aspect of not only are they just women, one of them is a mother, but both of them are prostitutes. So, you know, King Solomon is thinking about different aspects of the situation. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's profound. I think that situation is so profound. Like that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing that King Solomon was able to come to a conclusion. Although he did say, you know, I'm gonna cut the child in half. I mean, it is a profound way to deal with the situation and come to a proper conclusion that this child is hers because of the nature of a mother, and the different aspects of their situation as being prostitutes as well. So that's like the knowledge, right? Being well-rounded about a subject. Okay. For instance, if even something like how the scripture says that we can't eat pork. You know, we can't eat pork. The knowledge of why we can't eat pork is first of all, this is coming straight from the mouth of Yahweh, and this is the instruction from Yahweh. Secondly, another thing, and I'm not saying anything in order or anything, but secondly, it's like, once you understand the nature of a pig was not created to be eaten. You know what I'm saying? It has a nature. It has the nature to consume things and to keep all those toxins inside. If you eat that pig, you're eating those toxins. When we sweat, when we sweat as humans, we're sweating out whatever was in us. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that when we were sick, our grandmother would tell us to go outside and sweat it out. You know what I'm saying? Sweat out those toxins, sweat out that disease, whatever it was. You know, and you sweat that out. Okay? Those toxins come out through your pores. So, you know, but a pig doesn't have that nature. A pig has a nature to keep that garbage within. Okay? To keep those toxins within. That's the nature of a pig. Whatever they eat, whatever chemical processes happen when a pig consumes whatever chemical processes happen when a pig consumes garbage, when a pig consumes unclean things like poop and pee and manure, or poop and pee and alcohol and poison and dead carcasses and all of those things, man. You know what I'm saying? You're consuming all those toxins. That's why people get a high blood pressure, gout, Alzheimer's, dementia, you know, high cholesterol or what have you. It's because you're eating everything that pig ate, and now you're infested with these parasites, right? So that corrupt your judgment, that corrupt your mind, that cause you to be what's the word I'm looking for? That cause your human nature to be corrupted by animal by a corrupt animal, by animal that was created to consume garbage. You know what I'm saying? So when you understand the knowledge of why Yahweh says don't eat these things, I mean, it's ultimately it's for reverence for Yahweh. And secondarily, it's reverence for your own body, or secondarily, it's reverence for your neighbor, and then for you, because we understand that the two greatest commandments is to love Yahweh and to love your neighbor. So it's reverence for Yahweh, reverence for your neighbor, and then it comes to you. So we can't undermine Chokmah, we can't undermine knowledge. Okay, and true Chokmah, true wisdom comes from Yahweh. But the point that I'm making is that this is knowledge. Yeah, King Solomon had the knowledge of the woman archetype, right? The woman biology, how chemicals are processed in the woman's body. That's why when you go to Wisdom of Solomon, it says King Solomon had the wisdom of human. So like, let me see if I can get that real quick. Chapter 7 or chapter 7. It says, chapter 7 verse 17, for he hath given me certain knowledge of things that aren't, namely to know how the world was made and the operation of the elements. Then it goes down to speak about the things that he did know, because it says, for he hath given me certain knowledge of things that are. Let's see what one of those things are. The natures of living creatures. That's one of them. Another one is where's it at? It says the natures of living creatures and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of wind, and the reasonings of men. So that's what King Solomon knew. He had knowledge of the reasonings of men. Okay. So my point is that is knowledge, man. That is knowledge. Okay. So the second pillar of wisdom is instruction. The second pillar of wisdom is instruction. The second pillar of wisdom is instruction. Let's get to that. Instruction, Mawakar, proof, warning, or instruction. Mawakar is discipline, but more, it teaches how to live correctly in the fear of Yahweh, so that wise man learns his lesson before temptation and testing. This discipline is training for life, hence pay attention to Mawakar is important. So, instruction is the way you understand what instruction is by the words and phrases. And these are the words and phrases to hint to instruction. Hear. So hear is like, hear these words, right? Hear these words is an instruction. Obey. Obey is saying, I'll follow through with this. Do what I told you to do. Obey. Love your neighbor. That's an instruction. Receive these words. That's an instruction. Obtain. Okay. Obtain righteousness. That's an instruction. Cleave to righteousness. Do what is right. Okay, take hold of. Take hold of what? Chokmah. Take hold of eternal life. Take hold of love for your neighbor. That's an instruction. Guard. Okay, guard your heart. Okay, Proverbs 4. Guard your heart. Okay, how do I guard my heart? I don't look at certain things. I don't pay attention to certain things. I don't listen to certain things. Okay, I don't watch certain things. I don't sing certain things. I don't listen to certain music. And then it says, keep what? Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Okay, so these are instructions. That's what an instruction is. It's like a command. Like the Torah is instruction. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not make graven images. Okay, let's go through that real quick, right? Let's give a couple of instructions. Knowledge, instruction. Okay. Instruction, right? Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. That's the instruction. Thou shalt not is the instruction. Right? 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. That's an instruction. Honor thy father and thy mother, that the days may be prolonged, may be long upon the land which the Lord giveth thee. That's an instruction. That's an instruction. You see? So knowledge, you have the knowledge of the situation. Now you have to, now what? Now instruction is the next step. Why is instruction the next step? Because now that you know, okay, these are the instructions, these are the instructions on how to execute this. Okay? These are the instructions on, not, I wouldn't even say necessarily how to execute it. This is what I'm telling you to do with this knowledge. You see? This is what I'm telling you to do with this knowledge. Okay? The knowledge is like, okay, I don't have a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I just paid all the major bills in my house. Okay. Then the knowledge is, okay, I know that you have to feed your family and you only have only so much money left. Okay, the instruction is this. With the money that you have left, go to Aldi's. It's a cheap store. You get stuff you can get fruit for $5 or less. You know what I'm saying? You can get your little thing of meat, sandwich meat for $5. You know what I'm saying? That's what you do with this. That's the instruction. So you have the knowledge about the situation. Okay, he has so much money. He paid all his major bills. Okay. Okay, now what do we do with the money that we have? Okay, we know that there are stores cheap enough for us to buy to make a full course meal. Aldi's, you know, Walmart, you know what I'm saying? Rice, beans, you know, these are cheap things. Raw veggies, 50 cents a pound for maybe a couple things of greens or something like that, you know what I'm saying? So that's the instruction. Okay, this is what you do with this money. Invest $1, and invest $1 over here into you know, something, and then use the rest of this money to get your family some food, so that way you're investing something and also being able to provide for your family that day, because you may not have the food or you may not have the experience in this situation, so that the knowledge and the instruction helps. So those are the two first pillars: knowledge and instruction. Understanding. Once you have the knowledge and instruction, and then you go to the understanding. Let's see what understanding says. Baina, bina, some people say bina, some people say baina, means understanding. In other passages, the object of knowledge, in the sense of what one desires to know, is indicated by bina. So what one desires to know, which is understanding. Give me understanding. That's, I desire to know what you mean, what you're saying. I desire to know. Okay, so understanding, right? I desire to know why you're saying this. Why is this important? Okay? The understanding is once you execute, it's usually once you execute something that you have the understanding. Like, wow, like I never thought about it like this. Now I understand why you're saying that. Now I understand why this is so. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Okay, a soft answer turneth away wrath. What is the knowledge in that? I know that if I give a soft answer, or if I come to this situation of confrontation with a soft response, with the soft response, I know that it can turn away wrath. What is the instruction? The instruction is to give a soft answer so that the wrath can be turned away. That's the instruction. Give a soft answer so the wrath can be turned away. Okay? So again, the knowledge is a soft answer turns away wrath. That's the knowledge. The knowledge is that a soft answer turns away wrath. Okay? The instruction is to give a soft answer so the wrath can be turned away. Another part of the knowledge is that grievous words stir up anger. That's the last part of that proverb. A grievous word stirs up anger. Okay, so I know that so the knowledge is that from the beginning to the end, the knowledge is that if I give a soft answer, it will turn away the wrath. Okay, the instruction is to give a soft answer so it can turn away the wrath. And then the understanding is that the reason why I want to give a soft answer to turn away the wrath is because if I respond grievously, if I respond with harsh words, it's going to kindle that wrath. It's going to kindle strife. It's going to kindle debate. So that's the understanding. I understand that in the long run, this will be beneficial to our relationship. It will bring us closer. I understand that this is beneficial to our relationship because we know that we can come to a situation again, and because we have the knowledge, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we have now, we can implement this into every other situation along the way. So knowledge, instruction, understanding. Okay? What is after instruction? What is after understanding? Discretion. How am I going to execute this? How am I going to execute this proverb? Because you could execute the proverb you could execute Proverbs 15:1 in the wrong way, just putting it in the letter. You could be like, I'm gonna give them this card, but it's coming. I'm gonna give it with bitterness. I'm giving you this card with bitterness. I just don't want to argue with you no more, so I'm gonna just give you this card. I don't want to argue with you anymore, so here's this card. That's the type of undertone you have when you have a mind that's not trying to handle the situation with love and in sincerity of building up that relationship. That's the undertone. You can give somebody a gift, and then when the time comes around for them to give it, to tell you, can you help me with this, or when you're down on hard times, you go to this person's like, no, I did this for you and I did that for you. So somebody can give you a gift, somebody can give you a gift, but then come back around. It's called love bombing. It's a psychological term called love bombing. I'm going to give you this, and then when the time comes back around that you want something or need something, or I ask you for something, I'm going to just love bomb you. What is love bombing? Love bombing is doing good things for others with malice intent. Or I got them a new car, I got them new shoes. Or I got you a new car, I got you new shoes. Don't you buck up against me. Don't argue with me. What's wrong with you? I did this for you, I did that for you. Now what you gonna say? I did this and I did that for you. That's love bombing. It's a manipulative tactic that people use to get their way with you. They got you in the corner. So you could give a soft answer in different ways. I could give you a card. I could give a card to my friend that I fell out with as an apology. Like, brother, like, I'm sorry I did that to you. I didn't mean to do that to you. I hope that we can make amends, and that's what you write inside that card. I hope we can make amends. That's the discretion. What is the plan that you're going to execute? What is the plan that you're going to execute to bring forth this proverb? That's the discretion. The plan. The plan. That's what that is. That's exactly what discretion is. Let's go to discretion real quick. Discretion, the plan of how to execute and do everything in your life without harming yourself or others. Okay. Mazama, a plan usually evil, sometimes good. The quality of being wise, discerning, and able to make sound judgments. Okay, I'm going to read again. The quality of being wise, discerning, and able to make sound judgments. The ability to understand complex situations, often leading to insightful decisions, foreseeing potential outcomes, and planning how to execute a situation. Okay, and planning how to execute a situation. Okay. So, if I gotta get to work, and I know that traffic is gonna be backed up on the main street for me to get to work, usually discretion would be like, okay, well, this street is always blocked up, so I'm gonna take the back way because not many cars go that way, and I'll make it to work at least I'll make it to work probably 10 minutes later than I usually do, but I'll be able to get through traffic a lot faster instead of going this way, which would make me be backed up 20 minutes behind. And you're making that plan. That's what that discretion is. How would I execute Proverbs 15 verse 1? What would be how would I plan that out? I could write a letter. Okay. I could have a counsel with this person and have a mediator involved, so that way things don't go left, and so that way the mediator could bring understanding to things that the mediator could bring understanding to things that lack understanding. That's discretion. How am I going to plan this out? Mazama. Alright? So, that's the 4 pillars so far. Knowledge, instruction, understanding. Okay? Discretion. Equity. Now let's go to equity. Let's go to equity.
Can you just drop the clothes on across the street? So at the top of it. You want to go down? No. Across the street. Just drop the clothes.
So equity is, it says balance, making sure everything is fair and balanced. And that's really simple. Equity is very simple. It says Mayashar. Evenness, Yashar, to be straight or even, distributing the same equal opportunity of actions, words, and attitude to everyone, not being biased and favoring one side over the other. Because that's against the Torah. Favoritism is against the Torah. If a poor man commits murder, and then a rich man commits murder, there can't be favoritism there. They both committed the same crime and they have to receive the same judgment. Okay? There's no mercy in the law. If you break the law, everybody that breaks that law has to be dealt with in order and with equity. You can't let the poor man go off just because he's poor and he likes money. What does that have to do with the crime that he committed? Okay? So equity, right? Proverbs 15:1, right? Give a soft answer. Am I only going to give a soft answer to my boss and not to my husband? Am I only going to give a soft answer to my mother and not to my wife? Am I only going to give a soft answer to my son and not to my uncle? Okay, not to my grandparents? That's not equity. Okay, equity is being even across the board. So if my wife steps on my shoe, right? If my wife steps on my shoe on accident, do I yell at her for that? And not it's like if my wife steps on my shoe and the way and she steps on it on accident and I react to her and I'm yelling at her and cussing her out, and then somebody else steps on my shoe and I'm just like, you know what, hey, you good, bro, it's all good, don't even trip on it, man. That's not equity. How you gonna respond to them with the soft answer but respond to them with a negative answer? That's not equity. Because even the scripture says that blessing and cursing can't come out the same mouth. So how am I going to respond to them this way and then respond to them a different way? I respond to my rib in a cruel way, but I respond to this person in a different way. So, and in certain, and it's different. You give a different response in different situations, because your rib may do it all the time intentionally. Okay, or your rib may do it all the time, and you okay. Now I know that this is intentional. They're not watching where they go. They're not watching where they step their feet. They're not watching that I'm right here. They're doing it on purpose. You could respond. The response could be different in different situations. You know what I'm saying? You could respond to this person you could be assertive about it without being rude about it. You're still giving a soft answer. You're just being assertive about it. So, you know, you've stepped in my shoes too many. You've stepped in my shoes too many times. So please watch where you're going. Okay, that's assertive. You stepped in my shoes too many times. So please watch where you're going. Okay, or the next time you step in my shoe, we're gonna have to throw hands. We're gonna have to squabble. You know what I'm saying? Now that's fighting words, because now they gotta put their guard up. You know what I'm saying? Now they gotta put their guard up. Like, okay, like you threatening me, like what you wanna do? You know what I'm saying? And they didn't have to get that far. So you can still be assertive without being disrespectful. Okay, so you can still give a soft answer without being disrespectful. Okay, now if I respond to my rib like that, and then if I respond to my rib like, the next time you put your hands on me, next time you step on my shoe, we're gonna have a problem. And then you speak to this person, and you're like, next time you step on my, please don't step on my shoe like that. Please watch where you're going. That's not equity. Okay. If my Amma tells me to, now on the flip side, this is where you have this is another situation. Now you know your wife is subordinate. The wife is subordinate to the man, as the man is subordinate to Hamashiach, or subordinate to Christ. And you know that a man or any person is subordinate to the parent. So if I know that Yahweh says, obey your father and your mother, okay, and my mother tells me to sit on the floor and not on the couch, then I'm going to sit on the floor. Because why? Yahweh said, obey your father and your mother. He didn't say, oh, you don't have to obey your father and your mother because you're 39 years old. You're a grown man. You're an adult. He didn't say that. He said, obey your father and your mother. Period. That's it. He didn't tell you, oh, you have to be a specific age and in order to no longer obey your father and your mother. He said, obey your father and your mother, period, point blank. Okay? So, if I know that that's what Yahweh said, and he's the head over the man, woman, child, and Hamashiach, who am I to obey over all? Yahweh. So if Yahweh tells me to sit on the floor, but my rib tells me to sit on the couch, who am I going to listen to? I'm going to listen to my mother, because I am subordinate to my mother. Okay? I am subordinate to my mother. Right? So, if my Amma tells me to get white milk, but my wife tells me to get chocolate milk, what am I going to do? I'm going to get white milk. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get white milk. So the Torah, which is the instruction straight from Yahweh, the Torah, which is the instruction straight from Yahweh, is what I should be doing first and foremost, before anything. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you judge between situations like that. Because sometimes when it comes to discretion, sometimes when it comes to equity, that could be a mixed up situation. Okay, like, how do I deal with this? What should I do in this situation? And you know what I'm saying? Yahweh comes first. Yahweh comes first in all things. So if I were to be in a situation where equity is involved, the Torah comes first. Obey your father and your mother. That's in the Torah. Obey your wife is not in the Torah. You know what I'm saying? It's a principle of Chokmah. Yeah, it's a principle of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? And you read it in the Gospels, you know what I'm saying, to uh, on how to love your rib. You know what I'm saying? It's in the Gospels. It is Chokmah, but it's not Torah. It's not the divine instruction from Yahweh. The divine instruction from Yahweh says, obey your father and your mother, first and foremost. You know, somebody that has more knowledge and experience in life than you, probably double your age, and has experienced more things in life than you can experience in one lifetime, or in a year. More knowledge and wisdom than you in a year's worth, in a year's span. So equity, that's equity. You know, everything across the board is equal. Okay, if I give if we're low on food and I give my son a certain portion of food, I'm gonna give my rib a certain portion of food. I'm gonna give my rib that same portion of food because this is all we have to work with. You know what I'm saying? So nobody could say, "Oh, why'd you give him more? Or why'd you give him less? Or this, that, and the third? Well, we don't have enough." No, equity says to give accordingly. Give accordingly. It would be foolish for me to give a poor man money and to give a rich man money when the rich man should be giving the poor man money. Don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. The rich man should be giving the poor man money. You know what I'm saying? That's equity. So you have equity, justice. Justice goes into the same word as righteousness. When you do justice, you're doing righteousness. That justice is bringing forth the goodness out of, you know, those other pillars. Okay, so let me give an example. The justice is really the righteousness of your processes. Justice is let me get it real quick because I don't want to go too hard. Justice, righteousness. Is it righteous to respond or execute it this way? So you got to look at the righteousness of the situation. Is it righteous to respond this way? That's the justice. Is this the righteous outcome that I want? Or is this a righteous outcome? Will I receive a righteous outcome? Am I giving a righteous response? Am I doing righteousness? Or am I doing committing favoritism? Right? The man gave me more money than what I was supposed to get back. Righteousness, justice is giving back that money. That's righteousness. Giving back the money he gave me that was not mine. He gave me more than I was supposed to get. Righteousness is giving back that money. Justice is giving back that money. That's executing justice. Justice and judgment. What is judgment? Judgment is the last pillar, right? Judgment is all things executed. Let's see what it says. Your judgment has to be executed from your mind to actually doing that judgment. So judgment is the action. Okay, judgment is the action. Mashapat, sitting as a judge, hearing the matter and rendering a verdict, judging a matter lawfully and uprightly. Judging a matter lawfully and uprightly, and executing that. If someone murders somebody, the judgment that would be executed is to call the police. You know what I'm saying? Call the police. The judgment that a judge may give is to sentence him. The judgment that the judge may give is the death penalty for the murder of somebody else. That's judgment. Okay. They have the knowledge of the situation. Okay, the instruction is there on on what can be done and what cannot be done in this situation. The knowledge, the instruction, the knowledge, the instruction, the understanding, the discretion, the plan of what to do, the equity, distributing the same thing to everyone, the same bowels of mercy to everyone, and discretion, equity, justice. Is this righteous? Is this a righteous thing to do? And judgment, executing that righteousness. That, shalom, shalom. And this is not me being professional or anything. This is just me just telling you guys what my thoughts are about Chokmah, the 7 Pillars of Wisdom, and how it's a good and beneficial, fundamental it's a good fundamental way or process to implement into our day-to-day lives. If we implement the 7 Pillars of Wisdom into our day-to-day lives, things will be so much more easier to deal with. Less stress, less anger, and things of that nature. But with that, I don't mean to be long. I was just sharing my thoughts and sharing my notes that are directly from my elder with you brothers